Howdy guys, and welcome to my presentation. It's a shame we have to do this over video due to the virus and all the precautions we need to take, but we're going to get it done nonetheless. So we start with, what was my research question, right up here in the top left corner. I don't know if you can see it very well, but I'll bring it up and show you the details of the actual visual aspect at the end of the video. Anyway, my research question: does sports participation help or hinder academic success? It's a big question for me and my family when I was growing up, so it was something I wanted to research. The hypothesis that I came to was participation in sports, when done correctly, has an overwhelmingly positive effect on students' academic proficiency. So I did a lot of research on this, and I kind of had to narrow it down a little bit to for this presentation to this amount of findings, and I'm not going to word for word the whole thing, but I'll give you the important parts and give credit where credit's due. So we start with, my first bit of evidence came out of a book written by a doctor at Harvard Medical Institution. His name is Dr. John Rady, and he wrote a book called Spark, the Revolutionary New Science of Exercise and the Brain. Very interesting. This book alone helped with a whole lot of my research. It was really eye-opening, and he's a really knowledgeable guy, and I'd recommend if you have time to read it. So the excerpt came out of page 12, and the quote reads, and he speaks here about the effect of physical activity on one's learning ability. He says, first, it optimizes your mindset to improve alertness, attention, and motivation. Second, it prepares and encourages nerve cells to bind to one another, which is the cellular basis for logging in new information. And third, it spurs the development of new nerve cells from stem cells in the hippocampus. And this, I know it's a lot to hear right there, but it's a good quote about a lot of his research, in which he talks about how the physical activity can actually get your brain ready to learn, like down to the cellular, the nervous system, like physically it will help your learning ability. And it was really interesting, and I just thought that excerpt would work good for this. Next study that I really want to cite here comes from a website called pubmed.gov, which is just publicmedicine.gov, and a bunch of scientists from public medicine, they conducted a survey on just over 4,500 high school students. And in this survey, they actually asked them to record how much physical activity they did in a week, their sports participation over the semester, and their grade averages over all subjects for that semester. And not surprisingly to me, the findings came out with a really high positive correlation between all three of those things, so much so that they deemed it significant over a larger group of subjects. The quote that actually came from there came out of paragraph 12 of the second page, and the authors wrote about the three variables that, regardless of whether academic success was related to the physical activity itself or to participation on sports teams, findings indicated a positive association between physical activity, sport involvement, and academic achievement among students. Now, this is very important because it takes it past what the first study done by, or the first studies done out of the book by John Rady. It takes it past just the brain function. It takes it into actual high school setting and implements things like the GPA and the sports they intended in. It really breaks it down to a real world setting, basically. And the overwhelming positive correlation doesn't mean causation, of course, but it was very telling for how the things can go hand in hand, and that with John Rady's work really goes together well to show you the effect of physical activity in sport on academic success and show how it is a positive effect, undoubtedly. So what I learned from this, I just wrote down a couple of bullet points to talk about. So if anything, sports are not going to hinder your academic performance. If anything, they're going to help, and parents or the child, if it's his decision, are doing themselves a disservice if they want to achieve better academic success by not participating in sports and not being physically active. So another thing I learned in the second bullet point over here is that the argument that you'll have less time, so you'll be less effective in school, you'll be focusing more on sports, be focusing less on school, that's just a flawed way of thinking, because people that argue that aren't thinking about how the benefits, or they don't know the benefits you actually get from doing the physical activity in sports, how that can help your brain, how that can help your mindset, your motivation for the day, your motivation to come to school, and all those other factors they're not thinking of, and those do go a long way. So why I chose my topic. Basically, this was me when I was younger. When I was really young, I was very successful in school, and I was extremely competitive, so I just wanted to be the best, finish the fastest, do everything the best, make hundreds on all the TAKs and STAR tests and whatever it was. And up until about middle school, and I just really got tired of it. I really, really tired of sports. Of school. And I got interested in sports because they're a lot more interesting, frankly. And my parents, seeing my grades kind of fall off and my motivation kind of derail a little bit, they wanted to blame it on sports and say that I was spending too much time on that, and that was the reason, and it was messing up my school. And I insisted to them that I just wasn't interested in it anymore, and I didn't like school at all. I didn't like going. I didn't like trying to learn out of a traditional school system, but over and over again they wanted to blame the sport. So I just wanted to look deeper into it and see how much of what they were saying was backed up by any sort of evidence, and see if I could debunk it, which I think through this and the paper and everything, I think I pretty successfully debunked it. I don't think one bit that sports can hinder your academic success at all. Anyway, thank you for listening to me, and thank you for your time. I'll bring this up here now so you can kind of see what it looks like. You've got obviously the research, question, hypothesis, the page of findings in the middle, and then the bullet points on the last two over here. Trifold. Again, thank you for your time.